Hey, let's see here. We are live. Welcome, welcome. Gonna make sure that it's showing up in my group on the page. Yep. Yay. Okay. Here we go. New month, new energy. Oh my goodness. How has everybody been hanging in there with April? How did it go for you? Oh my God, what a freaking transformative month April was. I feel like, with the eclipse and just everything, it just feels like it's been with Aries new moon and just all these things. I just felt like it was so much growth and so much expansion and so many things happening. So welcome to May. And if you're new to me, I'm Donnell. And I am a oracle and multidimensional healer, a soul mentor, and I help women become their thriving future selves now rapidly with love, success, and money. So I'm excited to tune into the energy. These reports are designed so you have a guidepost of how to navigate things and just take everything with a grain of salt, but it's just me channeling and tapping into the collective energy field and seeing how each week it's going to support and hit for you. Okay. So, I am going to pull a card for the month of May, and then I'm going to kind of just tune into what May feels like. And then I'm going to pull a card for each week. And so eventually this will be on my YouTube channel, and you can go and it'll be time stamped and the whole thing. And so you could just go, every week and just check in with that week and just see what comes up. If you're joining me live, say hello. I'd love to hear from you. Okay. So May. What is going on for May? Okay. So, the universe card, it's the world card in the traditional tarot, but in this specific deck, it's the universe card. So I'm just going to take a quick note and write down the universe world card I take notes myself for this. And so, okay. The first thing I'm getting with this card for May is there's been so much transition and change, and we're still in it. We're not landed. We're not fully grounded in the change. We're still moving through a lot of things. And so it kind of feels like, I got this image before of if you've seen The Wizard of Oz and how she's, there's a tornado, and then she's catapulted into another dimension. That's what this energy feels like to me. It started in April. And it feels like there's so much shifts happening, and there's a catalyst, to change. And of course, the catalyst to change is always what's happening in your environment. It's how you want to grow. It's how you want to expand. And in that, it feels like there's things that you have to shift and change so you can land in the new higher dimensional energy that you want to be in. And you could equate that to becoming more aligned with your soul. You could see it as your future self. That's what I'm always teaching about, as the future self. But we're still in the transition and change, and it's not landed yet. So if you're feeling like, oh gosh, I feel like I'm kind of in the liminal space, or I feel like I'm in between, I don't feel like I know exactly what's going on or what's happening, that's okay. We're still in it. We are still in it. And as a matter of fact, this eclipse season ends this Friday on the 5th with a Scorpio full moon lunar eclipse. And so if you know anything about the Scorpio Taurus axis that we've been working with these eclipses on, Taurus, our worth, our value, money, resources, all that kind of stuff. And then we have Scorpio, which is the mysteries, the shadow, the underworld, death, rebirth, transformation. And so we're kind of coming into this month of like, what are you ready to transform? How are you willing to honor your self-worth? What are you going to say yes to that will allow you to become more embodied in who you are? So I always say you don't have to go searching hard for the lessons. The lessons they're already there. They're right in front of you. And so what I feel like is it's a little heightened as we come into the month. And then as the month lands, like as we go a little bit more into it, I feel like we kind of land like with the Mercury retrograde, like we're still going to be kind of processing and dealing with stuff. And then it feels like we land a little bit. And then there's a little, maybe the last couple of weeks, the energy feels like we're integrating, trying to understand and adopt new ways of being after some of the shifts. And for some people, it might feel a little bit tumultuous. For some of you, it's just going to be like, yeah, I've been working on this for quite some time. And it's almost like, you sealed the deal with the energy. Like you said yes to the new thing, you said yes to the new way of being, and it's just going to like be landing for you energetically. In the collective, it feels like lots of revelations, lots of things happening, lots of things coming out, learning more new things, learning more about what's happening in your reality. And for some of you, you're not going to be that, you'll be like, okay. And for others, it may feel kind of shocking. But I kind of feel like there's always the invitation to avoid the disruption of kind of focusing on what's happening in the collective. It can be very disruptive to your nervous system and well-being. And I think it's important to stay abreast of what's happening, but not to get lost in what's happening. And it feels like this month there's just a lot in the air. It feels very frenetic. It feels like electric. It almost feels like after, like maybe there's like when there's a lightning storm and thunder, it feels kind of like that, where there's like electricity in the air. And, it's like, it could kind of like shock you a little bit, but it's not going to hurt you. Right. It's like, there might be things that you might be learning about yourself that might feel a little bit like, oh my gosh, how did I not see that before? For some of you, the electricity in the air is going to feel like you're lit up and you're excited and you're ready to go on things. And for other people, it's going to be kind of like a shock to the system. Like if you haven't been on your journey of coming within yourself, maybe this energy is going to kind of like push you a little bit more inward, a little bit more into doing the work within yourself. So it feels very electric, very frenetic. And when I see this kind of feeling of that electricity in the air, a couple things also come in for me this month is that like your light body is going to be more activated. So if you're, think of yourself as an energetic being, there's a lot of opportunities for upgrades. The other thing I'm getting is that for some of you, your body may be very much kind of needing extra support. It may feel a little challenged because of the amount of energy that's pouring in, and it's your job to take really, really good care of yourself. And not do it according to anybody else's timeline, do it according to yours, to take time outs, to really respect your boundaries. Because there's a lot of like, it's almost like, I don't know if you've been somewhere where it's really dry and you like walk across the carpet and you got to touch something in it, like you get shocked, and that's like, oh, and it feels like there's a little bit of energy moving from person to person. So if you're not aware of what you're saying yes to in a specific environment, or you're around people that are in maybe a lower vibration because they're focused on negative things that are happening around them, let's just say, it feels like it can spark you. And so you have to spark you in a way that like you get ignited, or you kind of get into that same force field or vortex of energy. So I want you to think about this month of May as really being very mindful of what you allow in, what you digest, what you take in. And being that it's the World card, we're going to be wrapping up those big lessons, like I said. And so you have to have agency over where you put your attention and who you're letting in and how you're supporting yourself to really digest these big things. What I love about this card is that it means anything that's been coming up for you, like it's going to come to like it's it's like the end of a journey, right? It's especially with Scorpio, it's like, endings to new beginnings. And because this is the last, I believe it's the last Scorpio lunar eclipse full moon that's going to be happening for years to come, you're wrapping up like a 15 to 18th month. I think it's been 15 months. I don't know exactly, month lesson of whatever you've been working on. So how fun, how supportive. And when we come to the end of a journey, you take it in, right? Like if you've been journeying, like let's say, and going on a trek, and you get to a certain destination, you stop, you enjoy the view, you pause, you review. My God, what did I learn? How did that impact and affect me? What was that all about? This month holds a lot of that, because it feels like it catapults you moving forward into like the next month, where it's like things moving quick too. So, okay, there's that. So for this first week, which I just said, we have this huge, so we're all in the Taurus energy, but we have a huge full moon in Scorpio. And depending on where that is in your chart, is how it's going to color and flavor your reality. Okay. Triumph. So let me just write this down. I love this card because it's the Chariot in the traditional tarot, and we are in we're in a Chariot year. So this week feels like a mini healing journey crisis for some. Some of you are going to be like, what's going on? When is this going to end? And instead of worrying about how the astrology is going to affect you, maybe you don't even think about astrology, just surrender and allow everything that's happening right now to be part of the healing that's taking place in your reality so that you can move forward. If you didn't see life as happening to you, but as you being the channel to receive life and to receive your consciousness that is flowing through you, then you understand that everything is taking you and moving you forward into hopefully higher alignment. But to get to higher alignment, we need to move out the things that are not aligned with where we're going. So this week, I feel like provides a really amazing opportunity for that. I keep seeing like if you had a big like towel that was full of water and it's just like wringing out like all the old emotions, wringing out the emotional body. So I feel like there's a big emphasis this week on your emotions and how your emotions are going to affect you, and letting your emotions, your feelings inform you of how you're tracking, instead of running and not wanting to feel something. Invite the feeling in and trust your body to hold that space for you. That like, okay, if I'm angry about something, or if I'm feeling that I'm tired of this old pattern and I'm in disbelief that I keep continuing it, see this week and see this card, the Chariot, as an opportunity to heal. Because this is a card that's about being determined and focused and making things happen. So if you've been working on something, I love this because it's like, stay in the frequency, stay in the trust that it's all working out with discipline. And instead of saying willpower, I would say God's will. Understand that things are going to work out for you. But can you hold that energy without the proof in the 3D physical realms that it will? Because that's always the game and the trick when it comes to receiving that what you want. And so this is the container. So your physical body is the container of the healing and the transformation that you're going to receive this week. There's very much a huge emphasis, like I said, on the emotional body, but the physical embodiment, and the beliefs and patterns that you've been operating from that have either given you your self-worth or devalued yourself, your ability to step into your inherent self-worth. Because this is a Taurus Scorpio, it feels like, everything around resources and self-worth and value is been up for you to notice, and trusting that you're on your way. If you've been able to intend and think about, what is it that I want to, what is it that I want to have in this reality? Who do I want to be in this reality? And see it as, if your body is the recorder of the past, it can also be the recorder of the future, right? Without you even having lived it yet. One of the things I teach in my futuring is that when we start to get really clear about how we want to feel in our future, we bring it into the now. We bring it into this present moment. And we see it as like a space to heal from, because check this out, right? If you decided that your future self is peaceful and abundant and all these things, and you don't have that in your current reality, that is an invitation to heal whatever it is that is keeping you from having that. And it's challenging sometimes for people. I'm trauma informed. I work with people all the time on their patterns and their trauma and all these things, these behavioral patterns that keep us seeing life from the same viewpoint. But this week you're given a different viewpoint. You're able to see things from a different lens. And that is what allows you to quantum leap. Because this is, when you feel into timelines, for instance, like if you're wanting to access a future timeline, there's a different version of you, a parallel universe version of you that is operating in a new and different way. So if you have a dream or a desire, trust that in some other parallel reality, it's already happening, and you just have to tune into how it feels, and then you have to bring it back to the now and make that your set point. And when you can start to do that, like everything in your physical reality starts to heal and shift. So there's just this really cool opportunity for healing, stepping into new things, releasing the old patterns and identities that have been keeping you stuck. And then last but not least, maybe for somebody, this is very much like a project is doing well. You're able to tackle something that's been really hard for you in the past to tackle. You're able to get forward momentum. You see the end in sight. You have a plan, you have a strategy, a structure for something that you want to see through. So it just feels really, really good, really exciting. And maybe it's something you've been working on for quite some time that finally feels like there's kind of some momentum forward. Like you're like, yeah, this is going to happen because I've been working on this for some time. So for some of you, it's an internal thing, and others, it's very much in your 3D reality. So you'll know what that is for you, because this is unique to each person that listens to this. But don't give up on where you're going. That's the most important message this week. Don't give up on where you're going. Trust where you're going. Have fun. Lighten up about it. Like, don't be so like, oh, I mean, when you move from your will to divine will, you surrender. You stay in your boundaries. You have agency. You're not worried about the how. You trust that it's coming together. And I'd love to see you, instead of most people, when I, start working with them, they're leaning forward in this like control factor. I want you to lean back and trust everything that's happening. Okay. Can you lean back and surrender and give up some of the control so that you're moving just enough that the energy can channel through you and create the miracles and magic that you want to see in your life? So that's for this first week. So it's great energy with the Triumph card. I love it. With the Chariot. Okay, now we're coming to the second week of May, which is the 8th. Yeah. Firm foundation. This is a great card too. So, we're still going to be in Mercury retrograde, I believe, through the 13th. Let me double check that. But I believe, it's through. Yeah. So Mercury starts to move direct on the 13th or the 14th, 15th, sorry, 14th, 15th. So there's that happening that week, and a firm foundation. Okay, so what are we building? What are you building within yourself or in your external reality? So if you just came out of the week before, which is the Chariot, the healing journey, the letting go, bringing new things in, whatever it may be, this is the week to ground it in. And in your physical reality, I'm just letting go of any density or anything in your, like, purge, like, get rid of stuff. Take care of your physical body, go exercise, go on walks, because with so much shift and change and transformation that's happening right now, it's really important to be able to ground it into your physical vessel. And this week is about alignment, they're saying to me. I just get this vision of like a straight light moving through the column of your chakras. And so it's like body, mind, spirit, all working in alignment. I want you to think about if you were to create more of a grounding platform and foundation for your healing, for you to be the best version of you. Which area, your body or your mind or your spirit, needs extra work right now? Like, what needs extra support, so that you could start to feel safe? It just feels like there's a lot of energy around feeling safe so that you can expand your capacity to receive. This is interesting. It's almost like spirit saying, there's a feeling of abundance to this week. And I know that's contrary to everything that's happening in the external reality, but abundance in the sense that you've learned and gained some knowledge about yourself. And with that new knowledge, with that new understanding of yourself, there's like some feeling inside of me right now that you get to put that towards something. You get to channel that into some way that might bring you some abundance. Maybe for some of you, it's something in your business where you might be stepping to the next level of expertise. And for others, it may be that you're getting more organized and creating more of a foundation to receive more in your finances. So there's just something very like physical reality about this card. But more than anything, it just feels like it's a week to pay attention to your communications, pay attention to the ways in which you may not be fully expressing yourself, because as Mercury wraps itself up, this is a really beautiful time to make sure that the way that you show up is congruent. There's a lot of, like, I'm getting a really big feeling of, are you congruent? Are you able to express yourself? And if not, why? Like, what has been holding you back? How much longer will you stay in that where you're afraid to be you? Because this month is designed to kind of push you forward. With eclipses, it's literally like you're being pushed into a new timeline. And so if that's the case, if you've been pushed forward, or you're still if you've been pushed forward, you can get it grounded in. If you're still kind of in that space of, I don't know what's going on, this is your week to go within, meditate, pray, get clear, get a more of a definitive understanding of what your spirit, what your soul is asking for you, so that you can feel more grounded in this reality. Interestingly enough, I get that there might be ungrounding stuff happening in the collective, which would make you need to take better care of yourself and make sure that you have that firm foundation, so that you're not just kind of rocked by things that are going on in the collective, and just realizing, like, oh, this doesn't feel even, does this feel necessary for me to engage in, or does it feel like I can just kind of be the observer of this? How much attention do I want to put into this? How much do I want this to be part of my reality? Yeah, I just get a little bit of like, chaos stuff happening in the collective, like there always is, but just this feeling of, you're going to know how grounded you are in your body based on how your nervous system reacts to whatever is happening around you this week. And so it could be in your little microcosm, or it could be in the macrocosm of the world. And I'm not saying something terrible is going to happen. I'm just saying, just feels like there's some turbulence. And whenever there's turbulence in a plane, right? You have your seatbelt on, you trust, that everything's going to be fine, but you still feel like that you get it's a little, kind of like of a jump, like, oh, where the plane just went. I get that feeling of a little bit of a turbulence, but that everybody's going to be fine, but it's just, there's things that are happening. Okay. Let's tune into the 15th. And so that week we have a new moon in Taurus on the 19th. We have Jupiter. I'm sorry. We have the Jupiter entering Taurus on the 16th, and then we have the new moon in Taurus. So let's see. What is coming through? Okay. Oh my gosh. We get that card again. The World card again. So when personally, when I get a double card like this, it's kind of like, oh, it's a really big theme. So if it's the theme of the month and then it's the theme of the week, then there's full on cycle season energy going on, because this is the card of understanding the lessons and what's been happening. So if it's in the week of a month that's already having that energy, it feels like there's some big shifts taking place and I keep hearing in my head, like with every journey, there's an end and there's a start, right? So I don't want you to be concerned that it's like a negative thing, but there's definitely this feeling of maybe even within yourself, maybe there's a call to end a certain way of being. And it feels very tangible this week. It's like it's in your face, like you can't escape from this energy. It's like somebody's holding up a sacred mirror and going, okay, you could continue to live in this way, but there's another way that you can go about it that's much more aligned. So for some of you, it's not going to affect you at all because you've already been making the changes. But for others, it definitely feels like there is a mirror being shown to you of, do you want to continue your journey like this, or do you want this to end once and for all and you're ready to start a new journey? It also feels like some lessons come to completion and there's some freedom and liberation this week, like true freedom and liberation. And I love the feeling I get around this of I don't know why I'm getting this word, enlightenment. Like there's a little bit of enlightenment. There's a feeling of, oh, I understand now. Like I was in the dark about that before, but now I get it and I see it and it feels good. And I'm willing to trust my own inner voice and authority and agency. So there's something really powerful this week happening with that new moon in Taurus, because it feels as if you might be realizing where you've been outsourcing your power this week. And for some of you, it's going to be, no, I'm not going to continue. I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to outsource my power to an authority outside of myself. I'm going to be my inner authority. I'm going to trust myself and my knowing and my intuition and whatever expertise, the way you want to value yourself. Because once again, we're still in that Taurus energy. So feels really good. I just want to see if there's anything else I'm picking up with this energy. I think because we're moving forward after the retrograde in Mercury, I do see a lot of throat chakra activity. Let me just see this really quick. It feels like for some people, they're going to get the missing puzzle piece of the journey that they've been on. And when they get it, it's going to be so illuminating and so helpful to move forward in their desired direction in their life. It feels really, really, really good. And the throat chakra, being able to communicate that, being able to express that, being able to own and claim who you really want to be. lots of stuff around communication and relationships and stuff. And I just want to ask with relationships, what am I seeing? Why relationships? Because it's about your worth. Like there is that feeling of like, you know your worth. You're not going to settle. You're not going to fall for drama. You're not going to go back to old patterns that cause you to suffer. So very much this feeling of communicating from your new level of embodiment. That's what it is. Okay. That is the week of the 15th. Big week. In a good way. So the 22nd, let's see what we got. Let's see, is there anything going on the 22nd? Gemini season begins on the 21st. Gemini, I love Gemini. Okay. So there'll be a little change of energy. Relationships, Lover's card. So I'm feeling into this one. I love this card, the Lovers. You know, it's sweet because I was already picking up on the relationship energy just a second ago. And if you were working on your relationship to yourself, so you could show up differently in relationships, this is the week that you get to see that put into practice. You get to, I'm hearing, enjoy your relationships in new ways. Maybe for some of you, your relationships are going to be enlivened, resuscitated, because there's been it feels as if there's been a review in this area. And as there's a review, it's okay, how are these relationships in my life serving me? Are they supportive? Are they enhancing to who I want to be, or are they subtracting? So there's this sense of deep clarity on the people and the things that support you in your life that feel really aligned and really good. And then for some of you, it's like, oh, this is not the type of energy I want to be in anymore. What do I have to do to shift this up? And it's not always about canceling or getting rid of the people in our lives. It's either changing the way you perceive it, or it's about creating more healthy boundaries. And then of course you can shift in different ways, either within the relationship or even moving outside of the relationship. So it feels, also, I don't know why, but I got shown that game Musical Chairs. And so I think this is more of a collective energy, that it's like this feeling of like, musical chairs, you have to the music goes on, it stops, and everybody has to find a chair and they keep moving the chair. It's an interesting kind of thing they're saying to me. It's the game of deduction. It's almost in your reality. It feels as if some of your relationships that you used to align with, that you guys used to, there's not as much room or space anymore. Like think of the musical chairs, like they keep pulling a chair. So there's not as much room or space for what there used to be. It's as if everything's shifting and changing, and there's less space and less room. And you have to be really selective with who you want in your reality, who you want your relationships to be with. And how you are in relationship to everything in your life. Because remember, the overall card for the month is the World card as well. So it's kind of coming to the end of a cycle and reviewing and evaluating it before you start on a new one. And so it's not to say everything's going to end. It's just that there's this opportunity to understand the lessons of what you've been going through. So in your relationships, what's the medicine? What in regards to money, what's the medicine? To your work, what's the medicine? And does it need to be reconfigured so that you can feel more aligned? There's so much this month about alignment and changes and identity and kind of evolution for your soul. And some of it feels like the universe is supporting you and seeing things because of just the way everything is. And so this relationship, it's about finding the harmony in your relationship. It's about trusting. And I feel like for some, this is a week of like deepening into love. So maybe some proposals I'm getting, maybe some, maybe additions to families coming, pregnancy. It just feels like there's like a little bit of like expansion within the relationships. And it's like, I hate to say it with the musical chairs. It's like, if you only want to, it's like you're getting clear so that you can make room for what you really want. And then on a collective level, it's also what the frequency that you're tuned into or what you're not going to make space and room for. And it's also, for some reason this week, I get the feeling in the collective as if something may come out in the news or something may be happening that may make people feel left out. I know it sounds really bizarre, but like as if they missed something. Like, wait, what? Like, how is that even true? Like, what does that mean? Like, if that's true, then like, how did we not see this? And when did it's almost like that feeling of like, when did the rug get pulled out from under us, and feeling kind of like left out of the loop or not understanding. And so it's a week of deeper inquiry and deeper contemplation. Don't believe everything you see. That is the message Spirit is giving me. So if there's something in the media, in the news, don't believe everything you see, because it feels like some of it is like controversial, and it feels like some of it's not based in pure truth and pure fact. It feels like it's convoluted and it's distorted. So whatever that comes out to be, we'll see. But it definitely had this feeling of like, oh, like I'm the odd man out. How did I not know that? Oh my gosh, I'm learning the truth. What does that mean? Is this the truth? It's this very much kind of like mental thought process stories, like, oh. And for some of you, it's going to change the direction that you've been heading in within the collective, within your community. It's going to open your eyes to things. It's going to bring insights, and it's going to, it just feels like it could change the direction you're going in. I don't know what that means. I'm curious to see what happens that week. But it may not affect you, but this is just, something that's going on in the collective. But I told you individually how it'll go. Okay. And so last but not least, we have the week of the 29th. But what I love about that week of the 22nd is I feel like there's some real fun kind of energy. There's some celebratory energy with like the relationship card. I love the thought that I'm seeing engagements and marriage and, babies and announcements. I just feel like there's an expansion and growth of relationships. It's really beautiful. Okay. Last but not least, the 29th. So this will just be for the first few days of that week. What do we got? The third eye. Okay. So it kind of goes beautifully with the world card for the month, what you're coming out of the week before with the Lovers, like trusting your own intuition, what you believe to be true, what you're feeling. So much of this reality is, we think it's just what we can touch, see, understand, but there's so much intel that we receive from the quantum field when you learn how to work with that energy, when you learn to see beyond the veil. And so it feels like those last few days will really be supporting you in your intuition and getting more insights and understanding and really letting that energy of the month ground in. So just be aware of any psychic insights that you might have the last week of May, the first, it's like just those last few days. And I think that intuition is going to serve you very well, very, very well. For some of you, you should be using your intuition no matter what, but feeling divinely supported, feeling like no matter what is happening, that you can create your own reality with the divine, feeling. This is the thing. I feel like whatever's happening the week before, there is this sense of like separation where like like two different camps, like the people that believe it and the people that don't believe it, kind of like something that happened a few years ago. And not the same type of, like, it's not the same thing, but there's definitely this feeling of like this camp, that camp. And that's what I think is the design of this, if you will. And it's not getting involved in any, like, could you trust your intuition and just be neutral and see beyond the illusion? See beyond the illusion, whether that's in your personal life, like what's the illusion in your personal life? What's the thing that you need to see? Like if you could see it clearly. So always ask in your prayer, divine, show me what it is I need to see that I might not be seeing that would really illuminate and enlighten me right now, even more so than I already do. And then in the collective, I think it's going to be obvious. I really do. I think whatever is going to be going down, like you'll be like, what? And it definitely feels like it's like media, garbage, like some garbage coming out. And maybe some of it's true, but it's like, I guess the feeling I'm getting is like, to what degree and to what is this about? I have no idea. So I want to just tell you the sum total of the energetics is, we're looking at lots of lessons coming to completion, really staying in your due diligence, grounding in, really looking at your relationships, trusting your intuition. There's some beautiful energy this month. And then, I talked about how it could also be a little frenetic too. Most importantly, like, take care of you. If I could give you anything, it's that you get to choose what you put your attention and focus on. And I know it's hard when there's a lot of things going on outside of us, but the reality is there's always been a lot of things going on. And now we just have much more information, at our fingertips. But it doesn't mean you have to tune into it all. Doesn't mean you have to believe everything that you see. Trust the deeper knowing of your body. Trust in the life that you get to create. And that being said, if you haven't heard, my mastermind, my Majestic Mastermind is officially open. And it's a year-long program where basically you get to spend time focusing on who you get to become. So it's all about becoming your thriving future self in love, money, and success. And I bring all my skill set, all my channeling, all my multidimensional healing tools, all my laser coaching, my trauma informed, everything that I've studied on for years and years and years, which is a lot of stuff. And I'm creating a new paradigm. I'm not coaching you on who you used to be. I'm coaching you on who you get to become. And so I notice all the patterns, all the ways that you're showing up that align you with the past. The past is only going to be used as a resource to learn about who you've been. It's the raw material to create your future. So I'm graduating a group in this style of coaching that I've been doing, and I had phenomenal results. These women are starting new businesses. One got pregnant, starting philanthropy, falling back in love with their spouse, like all sorts of stuff has happened because it's uniquely for you. Like whatever it is that you decide that you want to work on during this container, my job is to help support you and give you the tools to get there. And doing it through the lens of futuring. So it is an incredible opportunity to totally change, up level, and for some of you transform, depending on where you're at. So for some of you, it's micro tweaks because you just want to grow and expand and have more fulfillment and meaning. But wherever you're at, it's going to serve you with exactly what you need. So if you're wanting to know more about that, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm setting up 30-minute calls so that, we can talk about it and see if it's a good fit for you, because it is definitely something where it has to be the right fit, right? Because you're going to be traveling, communing with an incredible group of high vibe women. And I want to make sure that everybody that comes in there can contribute and really wants to be in a space of love and growth and expansion. So that sounds interesting to you, reach out to me. I hope that you have an incredible month of May. I look forward to seeing you throughout the month and seeing how everything is landing. Okay, take care.